children. So in today's video, it's a part of practical of class 11 as well as for class 9 students also. So here we'll be discussing the overall classification of plant kingdom, the broad classification of plant kingdom, and along with that I am going to show you the samples related with different divisions and different classes. So when we are talking about kingdom Plantae can be broadly classified into two subkingdoms based on the criteria that whether the plants they are producing seeds or they do not produce seeds. If they are not producing seeds, then they are placed under the group cryptogams, and if the plants are producing seeds, they are placed under the group phanerogams. So when we talk about cryptogams, the word cryptos, it comes from the word cryptos. Cryptos means hidden, and gam comes from the word gamus, which means marriage. So since the reproductive output is not visible in the form of seed, therefore we call it cryptogams. So it doesn't produce seeds, the plants belonging under this subkingdom. So now there is one more criteria. So how we can further classify cryptogams? Now normally when we say plant, what actually comes to our mind? It comes to our mind that something which will have leaves, something which will have stems, something which will have roots. But there are some plants, there are some groups of plants which do not have this well differentiated structure. They have just a generalized green body. No stem, no leaves, no roots. So they are placed under the division. This is division. Under kingdom we have the division Thallophyta. So Thallophyta comes from the word thallus. Thallus means undifferentiated. So the body is not differentiated into stem, leaves or roots. Where do you find thallophytes? Under thallophytes we just have one single group which is called algae, and there are basically three types of algae: green, red and brown algae, chlorophyceae, rhodophyceae and phaeophyceae, and that classification depends on what kind of pigment is present in them. So that's why they are classified into three subgroups. Now where do we get to see? We need to know this. If you will observe on stagnant pool or pond or lake, you will find a green colored layer growing. That is algae. You try to lift it up, you will find some filaments hanging, slippery filaments hanging from your fingers. So that is algae. No, the body does not have stem, leaves or roots. It is undifferentiated. So here I have a sample, if you can see. So this is your green algae. So they are just filament like structure. So that is your green algae. So that is your Thallophyta. They are exclusively aquatic. Now coming to those plants which have differentiated body. So those plants which have differentiated body, that can be further classified based on whether they have vascular bundles or they don't have vascular bundles. If they do not have vascular bundles, then they are called bryophytes. Vascular bundles means having xylem and phloem, the conducting tissue. So if they do not have these conducting tissue, then they are placed under the division Bryophyta. Bryophyta, okay, bryophytes are also called amphibians of plant kingdom. The best example of bryophytes during monsoon period, now it's monsoon going on in my place. So you will commonly find moss. This is called moss. So you will commonly find moss growing. It is funaria. So you will commonly find this moss growing in your surrounding on the walls. So if you have a very closer look at that moss, these are carpet like plants. If you have a closer look with a magnifying glass, you will find they have leaf like and root like structures, but those are not true leaves or true roots. The reason why this cannot be regarded as the true roots or true leaves, because they don't have the vascular bundle. And why they are called amphibians of plant kingdom? Not because they grow both on land and water. It is because they will grow on land, but for the purpose of reproduction, for the swimming of the male gametes, they will need a thin film of water. Okay, and therefore they grow very rapidly during the monsoon period. Okay, so and the other plant which have a differentiated body and they have vascular bundles, they are placed under the division Pteridophyta. Pteridophyta, we have the ferns. Okay, Dryopteris fern. So this is ferns, you know, they were very prominent group of plants during the Jurassic period. They grow in moist environment, and you'll find them growing in shady places. They prefer shady places. So if you look at the roots, they have a kind of fibrous root. Okay, they don't have a single tap root, they have a fibrous root, and the leaves looks like this. So that is your example of pteridophyta. Now, if you look at a mature fern leaf, this is not a mature one, but in case if you get to hold of a mature fern leaf, below the leaf you will find some yellow spots. Those are the spores, the reproductive structure. So they multiply with the help of those spores. So fern is an example of pteridophyta. After that we come to those plants which produce seeds. And those plants which produce seeds, they are under the subkingdom Phanerogams. Phanerogams have just one division, just like we have Thallophytes, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta. So the name is ending with phyta. So here also there is just one division, and that division is Spermatophyta. So in some books you will find it missing, Spermatophyta word. They directly go over to the next level of classification. Now when we say seeds, where do we generally get seeds? We get seeds inside fruits. But there are some plants where the seeds are not inside fruits, they are in open. So that is called naked seeds. So those plants which have naked seeds, they are placed under the group Gymnosperm. And those where the seeds are inside the fruits, they are placed under the group Angiosperm. Okay, so if we are talking about gymnosperms and angiosperm, the best example of gymnosperm there are basically pinus, cycas, like that. So I have got a pine cone for you. So pine trees and all, those are gymnosperms. These are the seed bearing structure. There is a pine cone. In pine cone you will find individual, these are very hard woody structure. Now these individual units are called sporophylls. If it is a female cone, the individual structures are called megasporophylls. And if it is I have a male cone here. So male cones are very soft and they have fine hair-like structure. So male cones are very soft. Okay, generally under the tree you don't find male cone, they decompose. But female cone you can find very easily. That's why I could collect one. Okay, so when we are talking about these cones, these individual units of the cones are called sporophyll. I told you in case of female cone, which is hard, individual units are called megasporophyll. And if it is a male cone, then the individual units are called microsporophyll. And where actually the seeds are born, it is a female cone, so the male gamete will come. At the base of each sporophyll, megasporophyll, the male gamete will come and fertilize the female gamete and you will get the seed. So the seeds are in open. Okay, they are not inside the fruits. Now some other properties of angiosperms are that they are hard, they are woody. They generally, they are tall trees, they are evergreen, and since they are tall trees, so to support them, they have a very deep taproot system. So these are the properties of your gymnosperms. Now coming to angiosperms. So angiosperm is the most dominant group of plant presently on planet Earth. So these angiosperms, because when we talk about seeds, you have seen that suppose gram seed. हम लोग जो चना का डाल, so once you soak it in water, you are able to separate the seed into two parts. Okay, just a moment. So suppose this is a gram seed. If you soak it in water, you will be able to separate the seeds into two parts like this. So those seeds which can be separated into two parts, these parts are called cotyledons, which stores food for the baby plant, the sapling which will come out. Now, if the seed can be divided into two parts, then they are called dicots. Actually, it is dicotyledony. The full name is dicotyledony. But due to paucity of space, I have written dicot. And those which have a single cotyledon, for example, maize seed, butta, corn seed. corn seed, you'll find that you cannot separate it into two parts. Or for that example, rice. You cannot separate a rice seed into two parts. So they are called monocots or monocotyledony. So these are the two classes under angiosperm. Now there are some striking differences between dicots and monocots. The most easily identifiable feature is, there is a dicot plant, is the leaf. If you look at the veins of the leaves, you will find that they have a reticulate venation. Reticulate. Reticulate means where the veins are spread out in the form of a net. Okay, a network. So that is called reticulate venation. Whereas in case of monocots, suppose I have a sample of grass here. So this is a leaf of a grass. So here the venation is parallel venation. Now when I say parallel, not parallel in mathematical terms, but something like this. So this is a leaf of a grass. The veins run like this. So it's parallel. Similarly, banana. Banana, it is easy to understand the concept of parallel venation. You have the veins like this. So this is parallel venation. And when we say reticulate venation, okay, I can draw it out here also. Reticulate venation is when the veins, they move out in the form of a network. So that is called reticulate venation. Another distinguishing feature is the roots. So if you observe the roots of the grass, or for that example, suppose there is an onion, you can see the roots are all of the same length. You don't have a single root which is very long and from there branches are coming out, not like that. All the roots are of same length. So this is called fibrous root. So monocots, they have fibrous root system. Whereas in case of dicots, there is a dicot plant. So you find that there is a main root like this. There is a taproot where you have the primary main root, and from here the branches are coming out. So these are the three basic differences. In monocot you have single cotyledon, in dicot you have two cotyledons. In monocot you have parallel venation, in dicot you have reticulate venation. In monocot you have fibrous root system, in dicot you have taproot system. These are the basic differences. There are more differences to it, but for identification these differences are more than enough. So overall, this is the classification of plant kingdom. I hope you have liked the video. Thank you so much.